Alrighty, folks, if you are part of the One Rental at a Time school community, I have a true treat for you. This Sunday, 8 a.m., you're going to get the opportunity to interact and ask questions from Casey from Brick by Brick Wealth. She's been a contributor to the channel for multiple years, speaker at the ORAD events both years, and just an amazing individual. But what I thought we would do, just in case you don't know who she is and what she's done, is give you a quick intro to her story so that you can come prepared to ask her some in-depth questions on Sunday. Casey, thank you for being here, and thanks for your time on Sunday.
Oh, I'm so excited, Michael. I'm so excited to get to meet all your students in the school family. So it's going to be an honor. I'm really excited.
I appreciate that. Well, why don't we step back and just remind folks of your journey, right? Starting being a real estate agent, Southern California, to where you are now. Go ahead and just give us kind of the resume or biography of where it started and where you are now. And we'll go a little deeper.
Sure. So I feel so old now because I've been in real estate for 18 years. That's like older than some people that are probably in your school community. So I live in Tennessee now, but I'm born and raised Southern California girl, still wearing my tank tops and my rainbow flip-flops, my shorts. And I went to college. I got my degree. And I got my first big girl job at a public relations firm in Newport Beach. And I was driving, Michael, an hour and a half to work and an hour and a half back in traffic. It wasn't even that far, but I was driving it because of traffic. I was leaving the house in the dark and coming home in the dark. And that was just not my idea of like adult life. I could not fathom why I would go to school my whole life, work so hard, get good grades, be on all these extracurriculars, do all these things, to have to live my life driving back and forth to work and having no free time. So I thought, well, one day I'm going to be a mom. And then what am I going to do? Put my kids in daycare? No shame on that. But I didn't want to do that. So I decided it was time to do something else. And what other thing to do than go be a realtor, right? So I said, I can make my own hours, So I got my real estate broker license. It's still right there. I'm in California. It's still on my active license all this time. I got it in 2007. And that was right before the market crash. And I did help some buyers and sellers find their, dream homes and all that. But I really kind of found my niche with investors. And I would drive all around and I would find look at short sales and foreclosures and take videos and bring them back to these investors and tell them whether or not I thought they'd be a good deal and whether or not they should waste their time driving out to go see it. My dad and I fixed up, but I was a teenager. My dad fixed up the house we lived in for 10 years. He bought a crack house on a VA loan, and we were remodeling that property my entire life. So I learned how much it costs to fix the house. So I was the perfect person to spend her gas money and time driving around to all these places. So it wasn't until we moved to Memphis, though, in 2013 that I realized that I could buy real estate too. Because in California, the houses were still $700,000, $1 million. And I didn't really know how people were buying them cash and flipping them and all of that. So I thought, well, when I get to Memphis, I'm going to be able to buy houses. And they were everywhere. They were $5. They're free almost. I mean, you can get houses for $1,000, but you don't want those houses. And we were on a single income. Blake wasn't even making six figures, and we wanted to start investing. I got my stay-at-home mom dream, my house with the pool, and I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years until I started my coaching business. I did my Etsy a little bit, but really didn't make any money for a decade on my own. So all the money that came from our property purchases was from Blake's job. And we bought one property at a time, once a year. We just buy a house, a long-term rental. And, you remember our tenant nightmare story. It was a terrible endeavor, and it cost me nearly $20,000. And it was that tenant nightmare story that changed my entire investing strategy. And I realized that it's no longer about buying cheap houses, and you got to look at the numbers, and it's all cash flow, and what's the cap rate, and this and that, and all the glitz and glamour that a lot of these investors want to talk about online. They skip over the most important thing. And the most important thing is that your tenant is your number one team member. And really, it's about the quality of the property that you buy. And that is going to contribute to your success as a real estate investor. So I invented the CAKE method, and that stands for choose a quality neighborhood, paramount, add value to the property, whether forced appreciation or time. Keep the property. So this means 30-year fixed debt, right? No 10-year loans, no arms. Let's keep it simple, stupid. And let's just do the 30-year fixed debt. No refinancing. Keep building the cash flow with increased rent, which you can get if you buy in a quality neighborhood. If you don't buy in a quality neighborhood, you're not raising your rents. But guess what else is going up every month or every year at least? All your expenses. Home insurance. Home insurance never goes down, right? Property taxes will still go up even if your property value doesn't increase, because it will go up a little bit and the county will raise your property taxes. And eventually you get an alligator property when you buy those little cheap dumpy properties in the ghetto that you think cash flow. Well, they don't, because you don't have a quality tenants. So keep the property, keep it, and do not refinance. And E, which you can refinance some, right? But let's keep it. And E is earn. Don't forget, you earn money a lot of ways. And so many people get hung up on, oh, my cash flow is only $300 a month year one. Okay, great. And if you're in one of those little crappy neighborhoods, it's going to stay like that. And then it's going to go down, down, down. But if you use the cake method, if you buy quality properties and put in quality tenants, and you do a good job and you're not a slumlord, your $300 a month will be more and more and more every single year as it goes by, because you're buying in a quality neighborhood where tenants want to stay there, and you're not having to constantly spend thousands of dollars every single turnover because they keep your place nice. So I am all about quality properties, buy easy, safe, one at a time, sit back and relax. And you don't have to be this full-time investor that's sending out $1,000 a month in mailers and cold calling. Just buy one, a good one, and just keep doing it over and over again on your own time. And before you know it, you'll be a millionaire. If I can do it on a single income, so can anybody else.
No, I love that. And there's so many things I want to peel back, because again, you're coming on Sunday. I want people to be ready to ask any and all questions. Why don't we go back to that little thing you brushed over, the Etsy store? Because what I remember about that conversation, the first time we had it was, obviously Blake was out, paying the bills, kind of running the household, paying for that, but there wasn't a lot of extra. And you were very passionate about starting to build a portfolio of quality rental homes. And you just got creative, and you found a way to create some side hustle money, which became the seeds for the empire, right? I talk about this all the time, right? The step one of getting wealthy is you have to have disposable income, and you should try to grow it. And what you did via the Etsy store needs to be admired. And lots of people, run a household budget on very thin. It's tough today. But if you can find a way to get a side hustle, it doesn't have to be forever, right? You ran the Etsy store for a couple of years, but it was enough to get that down payment for a couple of units and get the ball rolling, right? The momentum. And then equity builds and it gives you options from there. But just talk about how you buckled down and you made it happen, right? You made it happen by creating an Etsy store.
Yeah. Nobody tells me no. And I'm the worst person. Okay. Even I can't tell myself no. I am so stubborn. So when I want something, I'm going to figure it out. And we moved to Memphis in 2013 with a 3-week-old. Jace was 3 weeks old and my daughter was 2. We had a cat. We knew not a soul. And remember, I came from California helping people through the Great Recession with amazing deals. And I'm in this land of opportunity where cash flow is a plane. There's tons of houses and I want to buy a house. I'm like, okay, we're here now. Let's do this. And Blake's like, Casey, we just bought our first home. It's a fixer, of course. And you're not working. Where are we going to get this money for a down payment? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Let me think about it. Right. So I thought, okay. And I went through so many things. I was like, well, I can make kids cartoons. I tried doing kids cartoons and putting them on YouTube. I realized I cannot do that, and cartooning takes a very long time. Like, I could write a book. I have notebooks full of ideas. And I was like, let me just do something that I like to do, because I have little kids and Blake goes to work. He doesn't now, but he did go to work. So I only had nap times, however long they would sleep. And at night when he came home from work, he could watch the kids while I was upstairs. This was my craft room. Or on the weekends, which I didn't really like to do it on the weekends, but you do what you do. So I decided that I was going to start an Etsy shop, but I'm not creative. So I had to buy this die cutting machine, like a Silhouette. I bought a Cricut, and I was able to personalize items that were already made, right? So I bought let's think, t-shirts, right? And I would put bachelorette party stuff, t-shirts, Disney t-shirts. I would sell anywhere from $5 to $25 items. I even had Blake create me a glass and metal etching machine from some tutorial I saw online so I could etch glassware and would sell that. And I sold on Etsy and I sold on Facebook Marketplace. And in about a year and a half, I saved up $20,000 from little tiny $5 items. I have a 5-star Etsy shop still with, 1,500 items sold just on Etsy, not to mention local resale groups and stuff, which is a huge other portion with local sales that aren't even on there. And it's on permanent vacation mode, but I don't want to lose it just in case, my daughter wants to do it. Like, I got a 5-star shop, I don't want to lose that. So, but that's what it takes, just anything. I'm not creative. I can't draw a stick figure. But I knew that I could take a machine, invest at $300 in some vinyl into a machine and some materials and just sell something, even $5, $10. My most expensive thing I sold was $25. So
nice.
It can be
I love this. That's the attitude it takes. Again, a lot of people want to get started. A lot of people are living really close to the financial edge. It just takes time and attention and motivation. You don't have to do it forever. Right. You did it for several years and you got the 20 grand and you started the empire is because of the Etsy store. If you don't have that, the empire doesn't start. So I think that's always a fun place to start. So folks, Casey's going to be able to answer all kinds of questions about that. Now let's go on to kind of the empire, right? You talked about it in your cake method. You're just one rental at a time, right? Yeah. And I think you're at 9 if memory serves.
Yeah, 9. Yeah,
you're at 9. Think about that. 9 rentals purchased over, I don't know, how many years would you say it's been?
9 years. Yeah.
Kind of like 1 a year.
Was so every year we buy 1 year we bought none, 1 year we bought 2. So on average, 1 a year. And that's all it really takes. And people go, oh, how can you bring in 6 figures with only that many properties? You're full of it, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, let's not forget, I didn't do this yesterday. This wasn't like I bought a whole portfolio in 1 year and I'm 5 years old. No, I started 9 years ago. We bought one house in a quality neighborhood. That one house nets us $900 in cash flow a month. Just one house now. It was 9 years ago.
Yeah, this is what people miss is people map out, kind of the, once a year and they draw a straight line like, oh, this is how much I need. And they don't realize that it starts slow and then momentum builds, right? That house today is 900. When you bought it, it was probably 300 or 350 or whatever it was.
Exactly.
But so it really grows over time. And that's how it becomes exponential. And over the next 9 years, even if you don't do anything, right? You don't add a tenth, it'll grow from here. And that's the beauty of your cake method, right? Keep it, right? Let pay down the debt. Rent goes up because it's a quality neighborhood. The cake method is awesome. Before we get to the cake method, because that's what we're going to close on, I want to talk about one of the latest deals you did. And it's just an example of what I call disrespectful offers, follow up, follow through. A lot of people think, you just look at the MLS and you pay list price. That's not what you do. So one of your latest deals we talked about, it was either number 9 or number 8, where it was listed, it had a price cut, and then you threw in something even lower. So tell us the full story about this house.
Yes. So, okay, I think it was listed at around $259 or $240, something like that. And my, kind of philosophy is if you want a cash flow and be in a decent neighborhood, you have to kind of buy the most expensive house you can afford that still cash flows. And I have found that to be a house about $200,000 or slightly below to be in the best neighborhood. 5-6 years ago, for Memphis, you used to be able to get something for $125 in a good neighborhood. Not so much anymore. So anyway, so we're in a different area, the worst part of a really nice city, not Memphis, another city nearby. And we bought the house, or we offered.
So it started at $250. It had a price cut to like $230.
To like $240, I think. I think it was $259 was the original price. They dropped it to $240, and then right then we offered I think $205 or $204 or something like that. And I asked for 2% towards closing costs. I always want closing costs. And I feel like that's the max you can get as an investor. And I feel like people are already assuming they're going to give you closing costs. People usually need help with it. So a lot of sellers are already anticipating having to help out with closing costs. So we ended up we ended up getting the house for, I think, $203 or something like that. I forget now because this one was last year. And we got 2% closing costs, and they fixed things during the home inspection because I grilled them down more during the home inspection and got more things. Then I started feeling bad because this guy was a cop and he just bought his next home. And I'm like, okay, well, look, I'm already getting a good deal. And so I didn't, kind of grill him anymore. I could have gone further, but I'm still human. And I was like, I know I got an amazing deal on this house. But the thing is this was even last year when housing prices, people were still buying it, asking. And this house, I saw it sitting and I just said, you know what? Worst they can do is say no. Worst they can do is say no. So we come in with 25% down, fully vetted. I go all the way through the pre-approval process. So I could do a 10-day close if I want, which shows that I'm a really strong buyer. And we just kept on them and we got it. So I'm like, I have a student right now. He wants to buy a property in Memphis and they're asking 138. He's like, how about 135? I said, we need to offer way less. And
so like 117 or 109 or something.
Morning in my group, I posted Rocket Mortgage has a phenomenal website that I found, and it has all the statistics of where your market's at. Are you in a buyer's market or a seller's market? How many properties sold at asking, above or below? And I sent him that and I said, 2/3 of properties are selling below asking. I know this house is on the market for 7 days, but there's a lot of properties out there. Let's, try and get a better deal. This isn't like the only house in the block, We can do this. This is our time.
Yes. Well, the other thing I love, again, you've been on the channel for multiple years at both my events and coming again next year, I'm sure. But one of the things you've created after you've helped hundreds and hundreds of people is you've really sat back and created it's an acronym. It's the CAKE method. I know you hit it before, but let's give it a little more love and attention and we'll close on this topic. Tell us more about why you created the CAKE method and again, go through each of the letters.
So I created the CAKE method because I kept hearing people say, well, I created a CAKE method because it's really the right way to do real estate, in my opinion. There's a lot of flashy ways, but there is one tried and true way that if you are not a risk taker and you don't want to blow all your money on an investment property that needs complete rehab and all these things, this is the way to go. But I created this method as an easy to understand to share with people the benefits of real estate and how it doesn't have to be hard, scary, and complicated. People talk about the BRRRR method. Well, nobody wants to do that. Most people don't want to renovate a property when they have literally no renovating experience, especially when they have a full-time job and they have a family. And if they live in a high cost of living area, now you got to do it out of area. That's stupid advice. For someone to do the BRRRR method out of area for your first property, give me a break. That's a recipe for disaster. So the CAKE method is created for people who want a solid foundation in buying an asset that is going to work out for them. And it isn't going to be high risk. It lays a solid foundation for a successful property to where then if you're making bank and you want to take tons of risks, go try fancy things, but this is a tried and true method to get into real estate without risking it all.
I love it. Well, again, you're going to be coming Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific. Again, we'll riff for a couple of minutes, but hopefully school members come in, join, ask questions. Getting started with nothing, side hustle, CAKE method, building an empire of 9 single-family homes. That's half of what Dion has. Dion gets a lot of love for being the lazy landlord. You've got 9 and got it done. So, Casey, we appreciate you here. Where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube, Brick by Brick Wealth. I'm putting a video out this week on Thursday. And you can also check me out on Instagram, Brick by Brick Wealth. It's a good way to DM and say hi because I wish YouTube had like a DM thing. It's hard to really talk to people on YouTube. And you can see what I'm up to on my website, brickbybrickwealth.com.
Awesome. Well, we'll talk to you Sunday. Thanks again.